Hello, Star Wars enthusiasts. Welcome to Newswatch Wednesday, where we break down all the latest developments from the galaxy far, far away. Today, we've got some exciting and controversial stories to talk about. From Star Wars book announcements to Ahsoka Season 2 teases, and even a return for Lord Vader, we've got a lot to cover. So, let's start with John Boyega. John Boyega has criticised the lack of diversity in Star Wars. Boyega recently spoke out about his experience in the franchise. In a new interview, Boyega claimed that Star Wars is so white that a black person existing in it is a big deal. He went on to say that some fans are fine with black actors in sidekick roles, but don't want them as the main characters. Now, I respect Boyega for standing up for himself in the past, but I have to disagree with him on this particular point. I don't think Star Wars fans reject black leads. I think the real issue is with poor storytelling and character building. Like, for example, look at Black Panther in the MCU. Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa was an amazing, well-written character who was universally loved by audience, including Star Wars fans. The MCU and Star Wars share a huge portion of the fan bases, so if people embraced Black Panther but struggled with Finn, it's not because of race, it's because of how the character was written. Finn had a fantastic setup in The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi, he was sidelined into an unnecessary subplot. Instead of developing his arc further, the sequels wasted his potential, which made his character feel irrelevant. That's not a race issue, that's a writing issue. Boyega is right that Hollywood needs more diversity, but simply putting a black actor in a major role isn't enough. The character needs to be well developed and given a meaningful story. Just look at what happened with Snow White. That's what Star Wars should focus on, not just surface level representation. Next up, we've got an exciting book announcement. Random House Worlds has revealed that Star Wars Master of Evil is coming on November 11th, 2025. While details are still scarce, the title suggests a dark side focused story, which is always a good read. The book is expected to be written by Adam Christopher, the author behind the Shadow of the Sith book. If that's the case, his work on Shadow of the Sith gave us an incredible deep dive into Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian, so I can't wait to see what he does with a dark side centric novel. Personally, I love when Star Wars explores stories from the villain's perspective. It's a nice break from always rooting for the good guy, and it gives us more insight into the minds of the Sith, bounty hunters, or even Imperial leaders. Whether this book focuses on Palpatine, Vader, or a lesser known dark side figure, I'm all in. Moving on to some live action news. Fans of Star Wars Rebels, like myself, have been waiting for years to see the proper return of Ezra Bridger, and now we're finally getting more of his story with Ahsoka Season 2. Ezra's actor, Eman Esfandi, recently hinted that Season 2 will dive deeper into Ezra's experiences, teasing that it won't just be about Ahsoka and Sabine, but also Ezra's personal journey. This is huge. While Ahsoka Season 1 was a solid introduction to the live-action version of these characters, we barely got to see Ezra. He was only in the last few episodes, and we still don't fully know how he survived all these years after Rebels. I can't wait to learn about how Ezra survived in Peridea for so long, what he learned from Thrawn's exile, and how much his Force abilities have grown. With Thrawn now back in the full galaxy, I expect Ezra will play a major role in trying to stop him. Should Star Wars do horror? Andor showrunner thinks so. Tony Gilroy, the creator of Andor, recently suggested that Star Wars should expand into different genres, specifically horror and sitcoms. First off, I'm really excited for Andor Season 2. I thought Season 1 was brilliant, even though it had some slow pacing. It was a fresh, grounded take on Star Wars, and I can't wait to see how Cassian's story builds towards Rogue One. As for a Star Wars horror, I 100% agree. Fans have been begging out for an R-rated Darth Vader series for years. something truly terrifying that shows Vader in his full horror movie villain mode. Imagine a Star Wars horror series focused on Vader hunting down Jedi survivors, or a survival horror story set with a rebel on an Empire-infested planet. There's so much potential for horror in Star Wars, and I hope Disney takes the risk. Images have leaked from an upcoming Star Wars turn-based tactics game being developed by Respawn and BitReactor. To be honest, I'm not that excited about this one. Star Wars gaming has been in a rough spot lately, with too many cancellations and disappointing launches. However, I'm keeping an open mind. Maybe this will be a pleasant surprise. We do have some sad news to report. Clive Revill, the original voice of Emperor Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back, has passed away at the age of 94. For those who may not know, before Ian McDiarmid became the definitive face and voice of Palpatine, Clive was the actor who first brought the character to life in 1980. He voiced Palpatine in the original theatrical release of The Empire Strikes Back, with the physical performance being provided by actress Marjorie Eaton, heavily altered with makeup and special effects. Clive was an accomplished stage and voice actor, with a career spanning decades, appearing in productions from Broadway to classical television. However, his role as the dark and eerie voice of Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back remains one of his most iconic contributions to cinematic history. Although McDiarmid later replaced his voice in the special edition, his contribution to shaping one of Star Wars' greatest villains will never be forgotten. Our thoughts go out to his family, friends, and fans. In Star Wars collector news, two iconic props have just sold for a staggering price at auction. Chewbacca's bowcaster and Luke Skywalker's medal from A New Hope. Chewbacca's bowcaster went for $575,000. Luke's Medal of Yavin sold for $450,000. These are screen used props, meaning they were actually used in filming, which makes them incredibly rare and valuable. The Medal of Yavin, awarded to Luke after the destruction of the Death Star, has been a sought after piece of Star Wars history for decades. Fans may remember that his medal was mysteriously missing in The Rise of Skywalker, until it was revealed in Leia's possession. Meanwhile, Chewbacca's bowcaster remains one of the most iconic weapons in Star Wars. Its powerful blasts and unique crossbow design made it stand out even among all the blasters in the galaxy. While I love seeing these props preserved, it's actually crazy to think that fans are willing to pay over $1 million for these pieces of Star Wars history. If you had that kind of money, would you buy a screen-used Star Wars prop? Let me know. For all the mobile gamers out there, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has just announced some major updates, including a Lord Vader lineup of Darkside clones, and a brand new Order 66 raid set to arrive this summer. So here's what's coming. Lord Vader's Darkside clones. New additions to Vader's roster, including Darkside versions of clone troopers who remained loyal to Palpatine. The first we've been given is Apo, and Apo has a very good kit. It looks like he'll be a major lifter. The other that we know of is CX2, and there's two more to follow after him. It'll be interesting to see how their kits look. This is an interesting move, as we've rarely seen Galaxy of Heroes dive deep into Order 66. The ability to play as Darkside clones opens up some new gameplay mechanics, and I'm curious to see which Jedi will be featured in this raid. While Galaxy of Heroes has had its up and downs over the years, it's cool to see more content focused on one of the darkest moments in Star Wars history. What do you think? Will you be playing the raid when it drops? That wraps up this week's Newswatch Wednesday. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.